Good evening. How are you doing? Just saving one file. Good evening, BK. Who is that? Good evening, Jagdej. Good evening, Palak. I like smileys. Good evening, Sashi. Good evening, Nikita. Good evening, Pranjal. Ashutosh. Good evening. Good evening, Abhishek. Hi, Paresh. Good evening, Akash. Okay, glad to be here. Good evening, Nivedita. Let me share my screen. Three people have written to me about their struggles, GMAT related emotional struggles they are having. Let me start with one of those. And then it will be open to everybody. Any one of you can ask anything related to this. This session is essentially, we'll be just talking about the emotional aspect, the kind of struggle that you may be having, or we may talk about mindset also, which essentially impacts your emotions. We'll not be talking about SC, CR, RC as such. Okay. Let me start. Yeah. Hi, Shreya. How are you doing? So can you see my screen? Can you read the text on my screen? It's a bit small. Let me see if I can zoom it. Do you see any option of zooming? Let me try this. It might have become better. Let me increase it a bit more. A math question. If I first zoom it 116%, then zoom it 106%, exactly how much have I zoomed? You can do it later. Yeah, you can also zoom. Yeah. But I've saved your effort. So thank me later. Cool. So let's get started. Okay, so the first is, in spite of my best efforts to not take a dip on my mock scores negatively. Okay, so basically to not, if a person has a dip in his mock score, he doesn't want to take it negatively. Just reading an RC passage. They still end up affecting me a lot. Okay, some people are trying to be read. Okay. Sometimes when I score low on a section which I consider strong, for example, critical reasoning, I tend to panic and go back to relearning concepts again, even though they don't help a lot. Yeah, so you may not be faltering in terms of concepts. How to avoid that situation? So the situation is essentially you are seeing a dip on your score, especially something that you consider strong. So you don't expect yourself to perform low in that section. So then it really impacts you very negatively. Essentially, something is not aligned with your expectations. So the more it's not aligned, the bigger the impact it has. That's it. So if you don't perform well in a section, which in any case is not a strong section for you, you did not even have those expectations. So naturally, it's not going to impact you negatively. But if you perform poorly on a section in which you had a lot of expectation in, that is your strong section. So essentially, it's a gap between your expectation and what's actually happening. That's impacting you. So the greater the gap, the more impact it has. For example, if you're trying to get into a company which you think you will get into, and that company rejects you, and suddenly it has a lot of impact because you had a very strong expectation that you would get into. But let's say you're trying to get into a company which you know there is a very low chance, and it's not going to impact you a lot. That happens in real life, in other aspects of life also. And that happens on GMAT too. Now, how to avoid it's essentially, so there are skills. This is the part of life skill, which we are talking about here. These are not critical reasoning skills or sentence correction skills. This is how to handle situations if they are not in line with your expectations. First is, of course, to an extent, understanding may also help. And understanding is simply that it's not in your control. What has happened is what has happened. Right? Now, this level of acceptance is not that you don't try to change the circumstances. You don't aim for making your circumstances better. Acceptance is not that. Acceptance is simply that you are acting out of a positive energy. So you can try to change your circumstances for the better for two reasons. You hate your existing circumstances, or you like your existing circumstances, but there is the inner just demands growth. That's the way it is in every aspect of life. If you create a beautiful painting, you would naturally want to create an even more beautiful painting next time. You don't hate that painting. It's just that now you have realized one potential. Now the point is to go to the next level. So, but a lot of times we are aiming for better circumstances just because we hate the existing circumstances. So we are acting out of a negative energy. We are trying to change the circumstances. We are trying to improve them, but there is an underlying negative energy there that we hate it. It need not be hate. When I say need not be, it is I'm using the correct words. Need not be. A lot of times we are driven by, we just want to change because we just hate the existing circumstances. We just hate getting a low score and all that. But if you have gotten a low score or whatever the score is, you just see there is a potential to grow there and you just work on it. It need not lead to a lot of hatred and frustration within you. Now, how to get to that stage? Again, as I said, one is just understanding that you have an option to not respond. Of course, there are two aspects to it. One is the natural reaction that happens within. That is your past habits reflecting in the present. For example, some people just say, sir, this is the way I read. That's fine. This is the way you read because that's the way you have been reading in the past. Now, do you want to change the way you read? Yes, then consciously work towards it. That is the way. Now, in case of emotional reactions, we think, no, I can't consciously decide to behave one way. That's going to be artificial. It's not artificial. It's just consciously choosing to be one way in your life. Okay, you have gotten a bad score. Your initial reaction is to resist that, to feel negatively about it. But you can sit and relax and see, okay, this is what I've got. Eventually, I want to be in a stage in life that even if adverse things happen, I can still continue to give my best. That's what you want to be. If you want to be a person like that, then start from here. Right? And it's going to be a gradual process. Again, don't become impatient. You heard, okay, you can be patient, you can be not frustrated while seeing a bad score. It's not that tomorrow you are not going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated. Frustration level may come down. But if you keep doing it over a period of time, you will see that you become a much better manager of your reactions to circumstances. And then you will see you will perform much better because now you can give your best to the circumstances. So there is no way to avoid that. There is a way to improve that. If you are at 540 today, you're not going to get at 780 tomorrow. If you are at 540 today, start working. You'll get to 550, 560. These are life skills. They are going to help you not just on GMAT, they're going to help you in your job, in your relationships, in all aspects of life. How you deal with things which are not aligned with your expectations. That's one thing. When do I really book my GMAT? Initial target score was 720, but now since I've surpassed that score in mocks, I feel I should study more. And I'm not confident of booking my mock. How do I convince myself? So you're getting these scores in your mocks. I think if you're getting these scores in your mocks and you're still not convinced, either you're not sure of the mocks, you have seen some questions before, or it's just a psychological thing. So if let's say you're taking mocks in a proper way and you're getting scores that are more than your target score, it makes sense to try taking the test. Probably you may not be convinced because you're just afraid of taking the actual test. So again, so you are here dealing with life skills. They are just manifesting in the context of GMAT, but essentially it's how you deal in situations that are tense. When you do your MBA, you take up leadership positions, you'll come across many such situations. Okay. So then also you need to use these skills. Let's say there is chance of failure. So you just don't do anything. So you eventually have to build these skills. You have to grow to a level that you can manage your emotions well, your thoughts well. So start investing time and energy in those things. Right? Leadership is not just about technical skills. It's not just about communication skills. It's about how you react, how you perform in those stressful circumstances. If you're not performing well in a GMAT circumstance, which of course is a stressful circumstance for many of you, then it's likely probably not perform there also. So why not build these skills also? How to build these skills? There are books out there. There is introspection. But the point is, you have to invest your time and energy just as you're investing your time and energy in preparing for the GMAT. These are life skills. These are much more important skills than GMAT skills. So making the decision is creating pressure on me and affecting my composure. So again, essentially, you're not able to manage yourself. So time to invest in building your life skills. Anybody has any follow-up questions on this, you can ask, or I'll move on to the second email. So there is a question, how did you build these skills? First of all, it's It seems the question assumes that I have these skills. I'm also building these skills. Now, right, everybody has a different level of skill. It's not that people don't have skills and people have. It's not black and white, right? It's not that people are at GMAT 200 and people are at GMAT 800. Everybody is at a different level. Somebody is at a 500, somebody is at a 700. The point is to become better wherever you stand. So, how do you build these skills? As I said, there is a lot of literature out there. I can recommend some books after this session. There are books there on sort of growing these life skills. Second is, of course, introspection. Just thinking deeply about things on your own and not just all the time rushing. We are just all rushing, not taking a moment to think, okay, where are we going? So introspection will also help. And then meditation, and then there are other avenues as well. But for the time being, there is literature out there, there is meditation, and there is introspection. Okay, now I have some direct messages here. Let me take them up. I've booked my slot for the GMAT in the third week of August. I'm doing okay on my marks. I know I have to practice more. I'm worried about panicking during the exam. History of not performing well during the exam time. We don't know how to mess this up. Is there something I can do once we have only 3 weeks left? Sorry, probably you guys did not hear. So I booked my slot for the GMAT in the third week of August. And I'm doing okay on my marks. So probably she's getting the score that she's targeting. And I know I have to practice more, but I'm worried about panicking during the exam. Okay, so she's worried about panicking during the exam. There is worry during the exam of not getting the score, and then there is worrying during the exam. I have a history of not performing well during the exam time. And I really don't want to mess this up. Is there something I can do? As I said, right, it's essentially about managing yourself in a stressful scenario. It's just that the stressful scenario happens to be this test. So one is you have to overall build your skills of how you manage yourself during stressful scenarios. And there are multiple ways, as I've talked about them. Then there is, of course, but some scenarios evoke much stronger emotions and some scenarios do not evoke such stronger emotions within us. The reason is how much uh, how much essentially importance we are giving them and how much uncertainty is there. If there is 100% certainty, you'll be all okay. Right? Or if it is not important, then also you'll be okay. The problem is then when there is a lot of uncertainty, but it's really important. So you want it to go only one way, right? Because it's really important, so you want it to go only one way. But there is already a part of you which knows that it can go the other way. That's why all this worry is. Essentially, there are two parts of you. One wants it to go one way, but the other knows it can go the other way. The way out is essentially that you accept that it's not in your hand. Doesn't matter how much you want it to be in your hand. Even if your life is at stake, it's still not in your hand. It's just some wisdom, some acceptance that this is what it is. For example, in my case, I had a 716 my first mock without preparation that I took. Now, if you score a 716 in your first mock without preparation, you would think, oh, 800 is just a joke. why people don't get 800. So when I was preparing for my first attempt, I was actually targeting 800. I was targeting 800 even my second time, but I really became serious. Ki, nahi, nahi, I have to get 800. Uh, so what happened was that I became very cautious in the mocks, that I would be like, bro, I should not get any question wrong. And so I became cautious. And what happened was that I became worried. So my scores started going down in the mocks. So it started with 740, went down 720, 710, it hit 680. And then I was like, wow, you can give me a 680 also. It was mocks. So, but it clearly showed me that this approach was not working out. The more I was trying to not get anything wrong, the more I was getting things wrong. I just left it. Jo bhi ho, bhad mein jaye. I'll just enjoy the test. So that's what I did. I was working at EGMAT then. I told the EGMAT guys, Pile essentially, that I would be fine with the 710. I'm not targeting a 760. So they were expecting me to score at least 760, because 99% we need as an instructor. So, but I did not want to carry that pressure with me. Ki, Acha, 760 is the minimum for me. I didn't want to go into the test center thinking the 760 is the bare minimum for me. So I told her that I'll be happy with the 710. I just wanted to get off that pressure of me. Okay, I'm going and there is an expectation I'm carrying. I just went into the test, smiled through the test, just did my best, got a 770. Right? So what you are targeting, if you're targeting a 710, it's not that you'll get a 710. People will automatically know, acha, this guy wants a 710. You will perform at your level, right? So one way is that whatever your score you are getting, you think, acha, I'll be comfortable with 100 point lower than that. That will bring down your stress considerably. There is a chance. And then you will just perform well. You have to let it go. If you stick to it, if you make it the most important thing in your life, it's not going to help. Doesn't matter. You have to change the way you look at things. Only then will your emotional reaction change. If you keep looking at it the same way and trying to change your emotional reaction, it's not going to help. You are trying to change the consequence. The source is the way you're looking at it. You have to change the source. Okay. Every time I improve on one mock, that's the next second question. Another one pulls me back to earth. Growth is inconsistent. Seems like a lot of emotional environment to study. Because there is no emotional environment. You're getting certain things wrong. You're getting certain things wrong. Right? It's just that emotions happen within you. You're not able to manage them. You need not be miserable just because you're getting certain questions wrong. Right? You get certain questions wrong, you work on them, you improve. Right? But you are having those emotional reactions, and that's sort of curtailing your growth, your pace of study, and all that. So your emotional reactions are not helping you. The questions are whatever the questions are. You're getting certain things right, certain things wrong. Some people are getting 10% right, some people are getting 90% right. But wherever you stand, now you're not able to improve because of your emotional reactions. Right? So why don't you give yourself time? Okay, I'll react negatively after 6 months. Let me just focus on getting things right for now. Why do you have to continuously judge yourself? Do it after 6 months. In any case, you are going to take 6 months to a year. Why not do it peacefully, being happy with solving questions? There is an option of doing that. You have not probably explored it, but you can be happy doing questions. Eventually, you are growing. Why not invest in your growth? किसी और की growth you may not invest in. That's fine. अपनी growth, your body, mind, spirit. You're growing your mind, right? You should be very happy investing in that growth. But essentially, the reason you are feeling miserable is you're continuously judging yourself. Oh shit, it's going to take more time. So what? It's going to take more time, spend more time joyfully. It's not that you have to be miserable. It's a default choice because that's the way you have been responding in the past, or that's the way you have seen others responding. That's not the only choice you have. If you fail, you can get up and again do things. It's not that you fail and you have to now cry for the next 5 months. That's a choice. But it's not the only choice you have. You can choose to just get up and continue working. And frankly, if you do it this way, after some years, you will feel inspired by your own life. Yeah, I got down. I really just got up and started working again. Wow, that's inspiring. Right? What's going to inspire is not how much you achieve. What's going to inspire you eventually is how you continue to respond in the best way possible. Outer circumstances may be very favorable for you. You get a 780 in your first mark. So what? That's not going to make your life inspiring. There are already a lot of circumstances which are favorable for many of us. Many of us are already in the top 5-10% in the country, or probably at least in the top 20% in the country. So what? You're still miserable, right? So the point is, okay, you are failing. You can get up and work again. That's also a choice. Or is that not a choice? It's a leap of faith that I'm not able to take. So there is a question that there are expectations of family and my own expectations that are creating pressure. So that's what I said. There are expectations, and then the only point is, are those expectations helping you? No. So can you rise beyond those expectations just focusing on giving your best? Yes. Is it going to happen 100%? No. A part of you will still get bogged down by that expectation, but if you keep focusing on just doing your best, knowing that that's the only thing you can do ever in your life. Whether you get a Rolls Royce at the end of the year by doing your best, or whether you get a Wagon-R by doing your best at the end of the year, that's not in your control. What's in your control is giving your best. Somebody may get a Wagon-R by doing his best. Somebody may get a Rolls Royce by giving his best. So what? So person who is going to get a Wagon-R by giving his best stops giving his best. यार मेरे पास तो Wagon-R ही आएगी, क्या फायदा है? साइकिल ही चला लेता. Wagon-R तो लो. Right? And eventually life is not about Wagon-Rs or Rolls Royce. Life is about giving your best or not. Okay, so a lot of questions coming in the chat. And then shortly move on to the next emails. Let me take up one or two more. Okay, so the next question is, when one has the potential and the capability to perform and still not perform in the exam, how do you evaluate yourself? So one has the potential and has the capability to perform and still not performing well. It means we don't have the capability to perform. Now the capability could be with respect to GMAT skills. Capability could also be with respect to life skills. If you don't handle yourself well, you may have all these CRSC skills, but you will not be able to perform because you don't have those life skills with you. That's also part of capability. That's always going to be a part of capability. Whether you do your MBA, you become a manager, you become a leader, how you handle failure, how you handle stress, whether you panic or you continue giving your best, That's a part of life skill. Okay, so the person says, I cannot accept failure because I just could not take this fact that I am not scoring well while others can. I've developed a lot of skills while studying for the GMAT, but that came at the cost of my personal time not giving to my family and my kid. I feel guilty about it since still I have not achieved what I wished for. How to cope up? You can continue feeling guilty about it. Again, a lot of things which I'm saying, missing, okay, as if I've already achieved them. No, I'm also working on them. It's just that I know there are different ways of living life. That's all I wanted to share with you. And there is only just, it's not just that there is only one way to live. There's another way to live, and you may strive towards it. I'm also striving towards that. So now there is a lot of guilt because the person has not given his time to family and kid and has still not been able to achieve the score. Okay. So this is what the circumstances. One way to respond to that circumstances. You feel guilty about it. You indulge in negativity. Yeah, I'm a useless guy who did not give time to that family, still not able to achieve. Is there another way to respond to that situation? That is a question you can ask yourself. Is there another way to respond to such a situation? There is. You can be compassionate with yourself. Okay, I've given my best. Even though I have not spent time with my family, they have also sacrificed. I have also sacrificed my time. I've still not achieved. You can feel guilty or you can be compassionate with yourself. Okay, I'm with myself. Others may not be with me, but I'm with myself. I'm giving my best. As long as I'm clear in my intent, if the results are not coming, they will come after some time. Results are not in my control. What's in my control is whether I'm responding in a positive way or not. And that's what's going to eventually matter. If you keep responding positively to circumstances, eventually you will see you will achieve a lot. But still, those achievements are not as important as your responses are, because your responses dictate the quality of your life, not what you achieve. You may become an Ambani, you may still suffer. But if you're responding to circumstances in a positive way, you'll have a good quality of life. And eventually you will succeed because you are using your energies in a positive way. You may not succeed immediately, but you will succeed in the long run. That's what I believe. There are other questions also in the chat window. Let me first tackle the question that I got on email. Okay, this is another question. This is from one of our classroom students. Let me increase the font for you guys. I know you can do it. You can still do it. Okay. So this is our classroom student. So he has been, you can just go through it. I also go through it for close to 1.5 years now. I feel underconfident because solved as many OG questions as possible. Deviated from quantity to quality, which means essentially shifted his focus from quantity to quality. And yet so many questions in verbal and quant doesn't click how to approach. There are still gaps. When that happens, I get frustrated. So you get frustrated because there are still gaps. Now, frustration is one reaction. Or when you look at gaps, you may get frustrated, or you may think, okay, you have more work to do. So you can respond negatively, you can respond positively. Is it easy to respond positively? That depends how you have been responding to circumstances in the past. Many of us are used to responding negatively, so it's very easy to respond negatively. Uh, Once we change the habit, we start responding positively over a period of time. That's going to become easier. That will be a life skill to have. When that happens, I get frustrated. I get distracted so much that I take multiple breaks. And this is what happens. People take a lot of breaks when they are preparing because they just can't deal with the negativity that's happening within. They just go and watch Netflix, just do something else. They just can't bear that negativity that is happening within. Essentially, right? You're not able to manage yourself, and that's impeding your growth. Again, that's a part of life skill. This is a very common thing that people take breaks. Sometimes those breaks are 2 days long. Sometimes those breaks are 2 months long. People take a mock, they don't get the score, they just leave it, come back to it after 6 months. कि नहीं करना तो था. Essentially because there is a lot of negativity happening. You're trying to get away from it. And the negativity essentially is your response to failure. That is failure on GMAT. It could be failure in some other aspect. That's the way you are responding to failure. But we get inspired by reading about people who don't give up in face of failure, who persist. One is, so in persistence also, there are multiple ways you can just force your ways. Okay, just pushing your way through the failures. You still suffer. One is to take it in your stride. Yeah, failure is a part of the process. I'm going to fail in certain things. There are a lot of others who are failing in certain other things. They just don't share. Okay, people come to me and say, sir, this is, you could get it very easily. Why is it so hard for us? This is something that, this is one thing that I've gotten easily in my life because of the way I think there was a luck element. I started studying in a particular way. So when it came to CAT and GMAT, it was not very difficult for me because that's the way I've been studying for a long time. But there are many other things I've failed. For example, spoken English. I still remember. Horrible time. To speak even a single sentence, I would have to think. And many people are naturally good at spoken English because of their upbringing or the kind of schooling they have had or whatever. And spoken English is just one example. There are many other aspects, just even networking and all that. There are many other skills in which I'm not good at still. So everybody has certain aspects of life in which they are good at, certain aspects in which they are not good at. So when you come across those aspects in which you are not good at, you just start bemoaning, start crying, or you do it compassionately. Okay, this is something I'm not good at. Let me give myself 1 year. No, but others are doing it in 3 months. Others are doing it in 3 months because they are good at it. I could do it in 1 week. In my 770 attempt, I prepared for just 1 week. So how you're going to cry. No, it's just that I was good at this aspect. You're good at many other aspects, but you're not good at this aspect. For example, I was not good at spoken English. So what? I start crying about it. I had to work upon it. I kept working on it and I still work on it. It has been years. It takes time to build skills. And the only thing, what is the situation is not in our control, but how we respond to that situation is in our control. And we may not necessarily respond negatively. We may choose to respond negatively, but that's not the only option we have. But if you keep responding negatively, naturally you will want breaks, because after some time it becomes too much to handle. Okay. So essentially it's about managing yourself. If you just handle yourself well, naturally you'll be able to do it without breaks. You'll be able to give your best. And probably it's going to happen much sooner in that case. Okay, so I take multiple breaks, then I start to get ready for my daily routine and feel extremely guilty of repeating this. Like, you have to break this cycle. Negativity, then you're guilty of that you are negative. Be compassionate. Okay, it's fine. You can be compassionate with yourself. Koi baat nahi. There are things I'm not good at. I'm not good at managing myself. That's also fine. I'll grow. The point is not to get to an 800 right now. Eventually get to a good score. I'm talking with respect to life skills also. You'll grow over time. If you think right now, acha, I have to be patient, I have to be compassionate. It's not that you're going to be compassionate tomorrow or today. It's going to take time. There are habits that you have cultivated over years. You've just cultivated habits of loathing yourself, hating yourself, criticizing yourself. You can change that. It's going to take time. Okay. So you need not be guilty about taking breaks. You have to break this cycle somewhere. You take breaks, then you become guilty, then there is more negativity. This cycle is happening every day and I get tired. Of course, if there is a lot of negativity, you'll get drained out. I don't know where this path is heading. It's getting nowhere. I feel defeated. Yeah. I don't like giving up. I think I can crack this. Just feel lost. What can I do so that I can get back on track? It's about handling your emotions, being more compassionate, being more patient with yourself, and understanding that it's going to take time. There is a whole misconception that everybody takes 3 months to get done with GMAT. Everybody takes a different amount of time. Some people take 2 years also. Give yourself time. Kya itni jaldi hai? MBA jaake you are going to be happy. No, you're going to still cry there. Better cry now. Okay. So ऐसा कुछ नहीं है that okay, once I reach my MBA, my life will be all happy. ऐसा कुछ नहीं होने वाला. You're going to be intense competition there also. You're going to cry even there. So just be more patient. I'm not saying give up that. Just be more patient. Why so much hurry to get there? Oh no, my age is going away and all that. कोई बात नहीं. एक साल से कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा. Unnecessarily you are beating yourself every day. You're just negatively impacting your mental health. Give yourself time, give your best. That's the only thing you can do. You have to understand that. Doesn't matter how much you want to control the circumstances, you can't. Does not matter how much. The pressure of round one is getting. I just want an advice how to head in the right direction. I have tried everything that you and Nish told me. Well, you have not tried everything. Because you are always right. So maybe you have tried everything for a couple of months, but you need, let's say, 6 months to get there. Probably you have walked in the right direction sometime. I'm not saying that you have never walked in the right direction. Probably you have walked in the right direction for 2 months. You tried it for 2 months, then you did not see any result coming, then you just gave up. Even if you have the right direction, you still need to walk the path. It's not that once you have the right direction, the result is going to be. You have to go from Delhi to Amritsar. It's a 450-kilometer journey. Even if you're in the right direction, it's still going to take some time. Doesn't mean that once you're in the right direction, it's going to happen. No. So probably you might have walked the right path. If you have walked the right path, let's assume that you have walked the right path. Probably about 2 months, then you just gave up. Yo, it's still not happening. One easy way to walk the right path or to remain engaged in learning is to just see value in learning itself. You're just seeing learning as an obstacle. Oh shit, I have to learn to get the score. This is so much work. Learning, you're seeing learning as an obstacle. This is an obstacle to your score, to your MBA goals and all that. No, you can look learning as fun. You're growing yourself. It's eventually helping you in some way. If you just do learning for the sake of learning, then you will become really engaged and then you will not be running away. Achha, 2 mahine ho gaye. 2 mahine ho gaye. 6 months you can do it. In any case, you're wasting 6 months. Why not do it the right way once and for all? It may take you 6 months or 1 year. We don't know. But ek bari karo and get done with it. You just do it for 2 months, then you give up. Then you give up for 2 months, then you come back, do it again for just 2 months. Do it once for 1 year, let's say. Get done with it and move on in life. Why do you always give it just 3 months? Give it 1 year. Have an idea, I have to learn. I'll enjoy learning. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. These are puzzles. You're learning something. So the point is, even though you may have tried everything, probably you need to give it more time. This is a shock to me. I'm a CA. Hard work and perseverance is in my blood. Yet I lose my cool because I have been an average. So again, it's going to become better. Give it time. Let me take the third doubt that I have that I got on email. That's a long email actually. And then I'll take up your doubts, whatever you have pasted in the chat window. Okay. So this is a long email that I got. I have just hidden that guy's name. He didn't mention that he wanted to remain anonymous or not. I just made him anonymous. You can go through this email. I'll, in any case, talk about it. Okay. You're taking good initiative and having this to discuss emotional issues. I feel like GMAT is more of a lonely journey compared to the CAT. No one really comes out. Right. Right. So while taking CAT, essentially you're preparing with a cohort, you're preparing with your college students. GMAT, generally people don't know who all are preparing. People don't even share that they are preparing for the GMAT. Yeah, it becomes a very lonely journey. Okay, my name is Dash. It's been about a year since I started preparing for the GMAT. I think one of your posts is pretty spot on that people who did well on the GMAT have a good base of studies from the past, right? I think in my case, I was already a pretty bad student in school. My aim for the first attempt was simply to get over this fear of failing out of 500, but still it hurt a lot. Since in my head, those 5-6 months, I worked really hard. Okay. So again, the score was not in line with the expectation, so it hurt. If I'm not saying, I'm not giving any moral gyan here, it's going to hurt. It's not that it doesn't hurt me or anything like that. It's just that that's a default reaction that's happening within you because of the way you have been responding to events in the past. It's not going to change overnight. But you can consciously decide, okay, it's hurting within, that you are getting disappointed, but you can try to give it a positive spin. That okay, it's right now hurting, I'm getting disappointing, I'm getting drained out. But is that the way I want to be always? That whenever I come across a failure, I just feel disappointed and feel like a loser? Do I want to be like this always? No. Then start changing it. It's not, the change is not going to happen overnight, but someday you'll have to start. So GMAT could be a ground on which you can start. Okay, next time I come across a failure, whatever the natural reaction is, I'm not going to suppress it. I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling hurt, that's fine. But I'll still take a positive action. That's in your control. I had studied for only quants because I wasn't really aware of what to do verbal at that time. Okay. Anyway, the second phase of my prep, I tried to balance things much better. Started studying verbal from Manhattan, Power School Bible, kept me 2021 as my target to write the second time. Okay. Then failed to do that. I observed that balancing studies with a full-time job is not as easy as it sounds. That's true. And that's actually a problem which a lot of people face. They're trying to manage a full-time job with studies. There is family also, other responsibilities. And that's what makes it really challenging. So it's all the more important to be compassionate with ourselves, that we are trying to achieve these things even with all of these things going on. Okay. The first thing I struggle is to face the reality that it is taking more time than expected. I'm already 28. I accept that I should have started my preparation when I was 25, 26. Now I feel the pressure of age catching up, and I'm already 28. I have to finish my GMAT as early as possible. Yeah, that's something that everybody wants to. Everybody wants to get over with GMAT as soon as possible. Then once you do MBA, you want to get over with your MBA as soon as possible so that you can do your job. And you want to get done with your job as soon as possible so that you can get back home. Everything you just want to get over. Because everything is just a means to an end. There hardly anything you're just doing for the sake of doing. Hardly anything that has intrinsic value for you. Many things, almost majority of the time, we are spending on things which don't have any intrinsic value for us. We just want to get done with them so that we get some external thing, which is the end result, a score or a job or a promotion or the salary. I feel this is one factor which emotionally destroys me every month. Strong emotional reactions. Of late, I've kept a grip on this feeling. I'm preparing at my pace. That's nice. But yes, at the back of my head, this really bothers me a lot. Other than this, I would say for me at least, I think if I leave studying a certain section for a few days, I tend to lose touch with it. Yeah, that also happens. It just so happens that even though I finished quant using the Visaco GMAT module 2 times, I still forget some topics since I try to catch up some topics on verbal. So this happens. This is the way it is. There's nothing unnatural about it. If you don't have a very solid grip on something, if you don't do it, if you don't do that thing for a few days, your grip will start losing because you did not have a solid grip to begin with. For example, now I know driving. I've been driving for many years now. Even if I don't drive for the next 2 years, I'll still be fine. I can still drive after 2 years quite comfortably. But let's say I'm learning a new skill. So I don't have a very solid grip on that. And now if I learn it for a month and don't practice it for again a month, and after a month, my skill level would have gone down significantly. That's the way it is. Okay. Anything you're learning new, you have to keep in touch with it. Otherwise, you will lose grip on that. So one thing is that whenever you master a section, you stay in touch by doing a few questions of it every day or every alternate day. You don't take a long break. Another thing is that is one aspect, that you stay in touch with that section. The other aspect is try to build a solid grip. If you just casually go through it and don't build a deep understanding, then you are going to lose that grip sooner than later. So there are two aspects. One is when you are doing a concept, try to do it well, really well. And once you master it, then stay in touch by doing a few questions of it every day, every alternate days, and so on. So I will try to strengthen SC. So yeah, the endless cycle has left me emotionally exhausted. It need not have left you emotionally exhausted. It may leave you intellectually exhausted because you're doing a lot of stuff. Emotionally is just because of your emotional reaction to it. It is just that whatever is happening, you don't like that. That's the only thing. What is happening is that you have to revise things again and again. But you don't like that. And that's what's draining you. The way out of this is simply that you understand that that's the way it is. You don't need to resist it. Okay, as I said, you can do it well and then you stay in touch with it. Or even then you may have to revise things time and again. Learning doesn't happen that once you do it, you have mastered it forever. It is entirely possible, and it happens that you'll have to come back to those topics and again go through those topics. Because the first time probably you do it, you probably just get a 60-70% of it. Even though you may think you have gotten 100% of it. The next time you do it, then you build your understanding. Okay, learning happens in spirals. It's not once you do it topic, it should be done. Nothing is should be done. Whatever is the case, if you think it needs revision, just do it. But of course, time is passing and there are pressures on you. But by having these kind of reactions, you are not aiding yourself in any way. If these reactions were helping you in any way, then of course you can continue to have these reactions. But reactions are not helping you in any way. These are just draining you. These are not helping you in any way. Revision to karni hai, saath mein you have to deal with these emotions also. Now you have an added responsibility. Another thing is, due to studying topics again and again, you tend to lose motivation. You're losing motivation because of your emotional reactions. Take time to study. Although after a few sums, you'll get into normal mood. But it's really frustrating. Why I'm not able to retain a concept forever. So you're resisting reality. We keep resisting reality. We need 5 days to master a concept, but we think we should take just 2 days. What is should there? You need 5 days, you need 5 days. That's not in your control how many days you need to master a concept. If you think it's in your control, then it's a different thing. But it's not in your control how many days. But you keep resisting that. No, it should not happen that way. But it's the way it is. Now the only thing that is in your control is whether you'll devote those 5 days or not. Or you'll keep bemoaning, why do I need 5 days? Chahiye 5 days. Devote 5 days, get done with it, move on in life. But no, बाकियों को 2 दिन लग रहे हैं. बाकियों को लग रहे हैं ठीक है, they'll spend 2 days, probably they'll take 5 days on something else, on some other aspect of life. You need 5 days to do it. Devote 5 days, get done with it, move on in life. The reality, the situation is not in your control. What's in your control is how you respond to it. I spent a great amount of time studying geometry. I could not solve any sum given to me. I found after 1 month of studying other topics, I lost touch in geometry. I could solve any sum, but now I lost touch. I wanted to just sit down and cry at that time because you kind of feel, what's the point? If you do everything right, this happens. Okay, you cry for a couple of days, but then you get back. It was always optional. Okay, I may be making it seem simple. It's not simple because it's habitual to us. It's not natural to us, it's habitual to us. You may come across a person who remains happy. That's habitual to that person. Now it's hard to come by those people, but it need not that every failure, every dip has to make you miserable. It's just the way you have grown habitually. Everybody else also is miserable, so let me also be miserable. ठीक है. You have certain goals to meet. You're not hitting those goals. Now you have two options. You continue working towards your goals, or you sit and cry. Why am I not meeting my goals? What's going to help you? If sitting and crying is going to help you do that, then no, it doesn't help. And what I'm trying to convey is essentially that you have a choice. It may be the automatic reaction right now, but it need not remain an automatic reaction forever. If you start changing now, your natural reactions, what you call your natural reactions, your natural responses are going to change over time. And frankly, you would want to give your children a different kind of natural reactions. You don't want your children to give up every time they come across a failure. So start changing, little changes. I would like to give an example. I've started studying inequalities a little deeply last Monday. Since I wanted to exhaust all sums in Visako module and a few sums on GMAT Club, I studied inequalities for at least 5-6 evenings. Okay. On the 7th day, I thought of giving a quants only test to see whether the end result. Jaldi aa jaye end result bas. While I was writing the test, every other topic seemed Greek and Latin to me. Itna inequality kaun karta hai? That's too much. This was frustrating because they were not tough sums as such. Now I'm spending some time doing mixed sums so as to get some touch back. So as I said, you have to remain in touch. Otherwise, you lose touch. Okay, thoda bahut you have to keep in touch with other topics as well. So that's important. GMAT wise. Keep wondering how many times should I repeat this cycle? And we don't. There seems no outlet since no one seems to be facing this issue. No, a lot of people face this issue. It's just that they don't come to you, they come to me. A lot of these emails. People face these issues, of course, they are not shared publicly. And everybody thinks, oh, they are the only one facing these issues. No, a lot of people are there. Lastly, naturally, since I want to finish the GMAT a little fast, tend to push myself every day to study. Feel like taking a break would impede my progress. Therefore, on some days when I'm in a bad mood, I try to study some easy topic, but it doesn't work. I wanted to know how we should gauge when to take a complete GMAT break so we can come back stronger than it. And there is no easy way to gauge. Whenever you feel like you can take a break. I feel like taking a break is a waste. No, at times it's helpful. But a lot of times it's helpful. And I study while I'm stressed. No, that's not helpful. Ultimately, I don't study properly. Yeah. It's not helpful. So I'm in this phase of doing nothing in a tense mode. Yeah. So we are not responding in an optimum way. We need to invest our energies in building our life skills. We need to be slightly patient with ourselves. Be more compassionate with ourselves as we build our life skills. ये नहीं कि आज से ही बोल दिया तो now I'm going to be patient. धीरे धीरे patience will come. Like I'm taking a break but I'm tense at the same time because I'm not studying. Horrible situation to be in. Yeah, I'm also in that horrible situation at times. But then, since I keep teaching others to be compassionate, I remember what I say to others. It helped me slightly. कि देख मैं बाकियों को बोलता हूँ. Let me also be compassionate with myself. So one thing is reading those books, watching those videos, which talk about these life skills, being compassionate, being patient, growing ourselves, growing our character, looking at our spirituality. These are helpful. Okay, these are going to help you in dealing with these situations. Otherwise, once you get into such a situation, you are all going in circles. There is no way out. You have to have that strength of character, the depth of character, to be able to respond to these situations in a positive way. And sort of engaging with people who think like this, or reading books, watching videos, all of these are helpful. It's a horrible situation to be in. Please tell me how can I improve such a situation. Okay, I've been talking about it. I know we should not compare ourselves, but it is tough seeing other people. We should not compare ourselves. The point of should is should looks like a moralistic stance. We should not do that. No, you can do that. The point is whether it's in your benefit or not. That's the point. If it is in your benefit, then why not do it? But is it in your benefit to keep comparing, keep feeling miserable? No. Is it easy to get out of comparisons? No. That's habitual. It's not even easy for me. Am I trying? I'm trying. Do I not compare myself frequently? No, I still compare myself frequently. Do I compare myself less frequently than some of the other people? Yeah, probably. I've gotten better over time. I'm just trying to improve. Just as you are building your GMAT skills, I'm also working on my skills. So comparing with ourselves is just not helpful. It's not that if you take inspiration from others, then it's very helpful. But if you just feel miserable by looking at other people's growth, how does it help you? It's not whether you should or should not do. It's not a moralistic thing. It's just that it's not even helpful. I've been preparing for such a long time, don't know whether there will be a light at the end. There is a light. It probably needs more time. And the reason the journey is turning out to be very long one is because of the emotional issues you are facing. If you had not been facing a lot of these emotional turmoils, probably the journey might have been over by now. So you are also going through this growth as you are preparing this kind of character growth. Now, whether it's going to get over in 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, that we don't know. And again, you may try to control that. You may think, ab to khatam ho jaye. Bas, still not in your hand. Kya kare? Only thing that is in your hand is whether you are giving your best every day or not. That's it. But if you keep giving your best every day for a long period of time, you will see that you will do really well in life. It doesn't matter whether GMAT takes 1 year or 2 years. You will do really well in life if you keep giving your best. Yeah, it's a long one. Let me now respond to comments in the chat window. Any tips for dealing with fear of quant? Every time I go through some content, I'm fearing the section. Basically, you don't need to fear that. The reason you're fearing that is you again get a sense, oh, ye bhi nahi aata mujhe. Oh shit. And then you start thinking, oh, it's going to take even longer than I expected. Give yourself 5 years. Probably you'll not fear them. I'll take 1 year to just master number properties. Then you will not fear. Again, if you give yourself 1 year, it's not that you're going to take a 1 year. Right? If I go into the test thinking I am fine with 710, it's not that I'll get a 710. But if you give yourself a long enough time, probably your emotions will not act against you. But now your emotions are acting against you. Every time you look at a problem, you think, oh shit, this is hard. I'm going to take a lot of time. Nahi ho payega. Give yourself 1 year to master just one concept. Hoga ki nahi hoga. You'll not panic then. Just get there, do one question at a time, enjoy it. अच्छा, इतना कुछ है इसमें सीखने को. Wow, very interesting. But now you look at a question and you get into judgment. Oh shit, I don't know even this. That's an emotional reaction you are having. You are taking every question not to learn. You are taking every question to assess yourself. हर क्वेश्चन में assessment है. Every question is judging you. Shit, तुझे भी नहीं आता. It need not be the case. You can look at a question and say, wow, there is so much to learn. Very interesting. That's one way to deal with it. Hey CJ, please let me know what to do in this case. It feels like GMAT has put a hold on everything else that I want to do in my life. Every single activity or needs or desires are put on the back burner, thinking let the exam end. But this is adding so much stress that neither am I improving or detecting where I'm faltering, nor I'm enjoying the process. Although I enjoy grammar and quants topics in general. So when you put everything on the back burner, again, you are resisting the reality. The reality is that GMAT needs time in your case, let's say. Now, let's say it needs 500 hours. Now you can devote those 500 hours over 2 years, or you can devote those 500 hours over 9 months or 6 months, right? Now you want to get done with it in as fewer months as you can. So you put everything on the back burner. But as soon as you put everything on the back burner, you want this to get over really soon because you are waiting to do those things. So one way is to keep engaging in things that you really like. For example, let's say you like watching Netflix or like talking to friends, going out, parties. You do those things once in a while so that that attraction towards them is not very strong. You are doing those things. Because if you don't do those things at all, then you actually really want to get done with this as soon as possible. And the more you want to get done with this as soon as possible, the longer it's going to take, as you're already realizing. So do those things that you enjoy and just understand that, okay, this takes time. So of course, as somebody said, he is not spending time with his family and all that. Will also not be able to do certain things. That's a reality. Now you just don't resist the reality. That's the way it is. Okay, now, but you don't need to resist. Oh, why is it taking so much time? I have put everything on hold. It takes time. Give it time. It will get over. And you can enjoy the process. Of course, you enjoy other things also, but you can enjoy this as well. I'm close to my goal score, but yet it feels so far away because it's called small increments require a lot of effort, which is right. I booked my exam slot 2 weeks from today. And all I can think of is the likelihood of having to take exam another time. Again, the kind of reaction you are having, right? Can you control it? Not necessarily right now. Can you guide it? Can you try to make it better by having a different perspective? If I have to take it another time, I'll take it another time. Right? My life is still 90%, 95% all okay. This one thing is not happening. This doesn't need to make my life miserable. If I need to take it another time, I'll take it another time. You drop the resistance. You can't change the circumstance. You can just drop your resistance to those circumstances. If you keep resisting, It's not helping you, that's it. You can resist it all you want, but it's not helping. It's just making your life miserable. It may be that you may not need to take another exam, or you may need to, who knows. But that's not in your control. Yeah, that's not in your control or anybody's control. How to ensure the approach you're working is the correct approach? That's a good question. How do we know whether we are on the right path? I think sincerity and engagement is the key. If you sincerely engage, you will start getting a sense whether I'm moving in the right direction or not, whether I'm learning or not. And learning has multiple levels. Okay, some people think that just remembering rules is learning. That's one level of learning. Learning has multiple levels. So the way to know whether you have the right approach is continuously being engaged in the process, questioning, okay, can I learn it at a deeper level or not? In the mocks, I was scoring well. Test center, I panicked, got a 430, not able to reach my potential. Need to change the way you're looking at the exam. I think something similar to what I discussed in the first half an hour of the session. Okay. I'm not sure if everyone faces this, but I am. I feel that when you try to improve on a topic you feel you're weak at, you tend to go a little deep in it. Of course, that would come at a cost that you leave other topics in general. Ultimately, when you return from strengthening the weak topic, you have to repeatedly recap your topics. Recapping is extremely frustrating. It may not be frustrating. It may take time, but recapping need not be frustrating. So could you please guide on facing this situation? Because as I said, it's going to take time. So some repetition, some practice, some revision is a part of the process. You just keep in touch with the topics that you already prepared. How to make sure concepts stick in my head for a long time? You really go deep into the concepts. You really practice them well. That's the way. I get so much anxiety that my sleep affects before the exam, causing lack of focus during the exam. Trying to indulge in meditation, need to figure out this aspect. So meditation is one way. Changing your perspective, letting go of the result is another way. Okay, letting go doesn't mean that you don't work hard towards it. It's just that you accept that the outcome is not in your hand. So you just focus on giving your best to it. Okay. I'm not sure if this one is from a female, definitely. Okay, okay. I was not reading comments. I can see some comments were in response to what I was saying. Stand-up comedy. Achha, I never knew I could do comedy. I've already given GMAT twice, solved almost every material that is considered to be good out there. 2, 3 OGs, reviews, Manhattan, whatnot. Sab kar dala. Not able to score more than 600. It's been 2 years. Baki log sun lo. People prepare for 2 years till they are stuck at 600. So you need not feel so bad about yourself. People just keep thinking, yeah, मैं अकेला ही फंसा हूँ. A lot of people are struggling, but you need not depend on hearing other people's misery to feel good about your situation. It's difficult for me to go at it again. It's of course I can simply say it's because you're not preparing the right way. That's the case with a lot of people who have done this. You have invested a lot of money for GMAT on coaching IMS and other books. I don't have a very good image of Indian classroom coaching. Okay, so I don't want to talk about them, but many of them are really funny. The joke padhate hain, it's very funny for me. So if you're not scoring well by studying from them, it doesn't come as a surprise. I have no idea what's going on. I have a wonderful life ahead if I crack the GMAT. अच्छा, GMAT ने रोकी हुई है wonderfulness. So one thing is, look at certain courses. You can look at our classroom course. You can also look at Target Test Prep. You can look at EGMAT. These are good resources, I consider. Okay, you'll have to try and see what is appealing to your style of learning. Okay, but essentially you still need a course for sure, because you are still not able to get at 600. So you need a significant improvement in your score. So course would be helpful. So you need to see which course works for you. And you can go through some of the articles, videos that I have on my website. They might give you some direction. So, okay, should I be spending time in researching schools in parallel while studying? You can, if you have time, you can. There is no harm. Okay, you seem to be done. No more questions. Done for today. Okay, glad to know that the session was helpful. There is one question: I need better tutoring. It's just the guilt of spending more money. You're spending more money, that's fine. Now, whether you carry the guilt of it, that's optional, right? Okay, glad to know that, guys. This was helpful. Okay, thank you, Shreya. Thank you, others. Glad to have taken this session. Okay, how to change your approach for the better one? Because essentially the point is, what is a better approach? The better approach is something that emphasizes on the depth of learning. If you learn things at depth, naturally you'll deserve a good score. If you learn things superficially, naturally you don't deserve a good score. Better approach is something that makes you learn at depth. One thing, for example, as I said in the beginning, that I was just studying, it was just pure luck for me that I started studying in that way. In what way? Essentially, I used to enjoy my studies. So when you enjoy something, you're naturally engaged. Nobody needs to ask you to be engaged. So if you enjoy what you are doing, you'll naturally be engaged, and your mind will naturally ask questions. And since it's asking questions, you will build depth. That's what I had. And why? How did I build interest? I think it was luck. I just got interested in math, science, in my studies. So I just started reading things at a lot of depth. So when it came to CAT or GMAT, that was like, so that's the thing. But the main point is, if you are enjoying what you are reading, what you are studying, then your mind will naturally be engaged and you will naturally build depth. It's just that the pressure of age is not parents related. Imagine you can achieve things but end up feeling mediocre. That's what meant by. Can you suggest the books that you were mentioning earlier? If you guys have registered, I'll probably send you all a list of books, some books that I'll recommend. I'll have to think about them. If you guys have registered, then probably I'll have your emails. So I'll send you the books per email. Not the books, the name of the books. Don't expect books. Yeah, we can have these sessions twice a month. Cool. Thank you guys for staying till the very end. Take care. Enjoy. Good night. Bye bye. Shabba khair.